Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Singapore Grand Prix round 7 out of 16. We are well into this championship, almost reaching the halfway mark now. We're on board with Heischler, who's on an out lap. We are on the brand new Singapore layout, of course, as it is in the F1 game now. We did see that last time around. I believe we were at Singapore we saw this. It might have been a bit different, but we are here now anyway. I can't quite remember. I think we were on this layout before, but another little overtaking opportunity. We'll see if it does create any excitement or if it is just going to be something to try and catch up to the cars in front. We'll find out, but it definitely makes the laps a lot shorter compared to previous games, previous years. We go into turn 3, locking up the rears to get that rotation. Not bad at all. Maybe scrubbed off a little bit too much speed than he wanted to, but it's still tidy and a lot of skill to try and get that done on the exit, bringing it all the way to the wall, maximising all you can up to the line. Well, the line kind of, you don't get to that because you get to the wall first. Riding the curves on entry, on exit, rode it a little bit too hard and unfortunately invalidates that lap, so they're going to have to try and come back into the pit lane. Looks like they're still pushing because they want to get another lap in, of course, and even though it is a shorter lap than before, it's not the shortest lap ever. Just to quickly state something that is pretty obvious, Zingy is out of qualifying already. It has previously been known that this circuit is called Singapore, as he is very good at this track, but unfortunately qualifying met his match. He has crashed genuinely out of the session, so he's going to have a bit of hard work to do to get himself out of trouble for this one. He wants to try and get another win on the cards because, yeah, he hasn't had a win. Well, he didn't win last race at least, so the Zingy's fashion, he wants to try and win as much as possible. Now, Korsman, he's on pole right now, looking for pole, making a big mistake though, as we end the final DRS straight. We'll go down the back final straight and we will watch and see the delta as he gets to cross the line for the next time. He might get another lap in if he wants to. Will it be an improvement regardless on this lap? We'll go across the line. It's going to be a 10th improvement, but he is, well, a second in front of Becken regardless. So he's doing a very good job, but there was a lot more time in that lap, I reckon. So we'll see him come out a little bit later, I am sure. Becken, talking about him, he is currently sitting in P2 on a lap now as well, as he's going to try and get some good laps down, ready for tomorrow's race. This is always pretty good for them to use. Riding that inside curve pretty aggressively. Is that the right way to go about it? Well, it seemed to work. They didn't seem to get affected that badly by it. Usually, you'd expect it to be pretty dire, but no, it wasn't the case with that. Usually it jumps you across the circuit and you lose a lot. That is a car round, unfortunately. The Alpha Tauri of Nifo Jan. Only one Nifo Jan. I was going to say only one. I meant to say only one AlphaTauri on the track. There is always only one Nifo Jan on the track, and that's not why they spun or why it was them. It was because there was one AlphaTauri. I'm just going to stop talking. Sorry about that. Beckham, as he's got a bit of traffic in front of him, they move out the way. Is that AI taking control of his car there? A bit of a judder there. Hopefully it is not a severe issue. He's going to get a tow from his McLaren teammate, and they'll go into the braking zone, so close to the entry wall there, maximising everything he can. May have even tapped it on the exit, but it seemed to work out for him. Round the final corner, DRS available. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 28.1 and a 6/10 improvement. He does improve by a lot, but still 4 tenths away from Thijs Korsman in the pole position. Peanuts into the pit lane, lots of people going into the pit lane. We've got Nifo, who has got some pretty toasty tyres and no front wings, so they aren't going to complete this lap. They are going to go straight in instead. And then we'll see if they can maybe come out a little bit later. JG and Heischler currently not setting valid lap times, so at this rate, Zingy's not going to be in the worst position ever. I would usually say either the front of the pack or the back of the pack is the best place and the mid pack is horrible, but I think kind of you just want to be as far forward as you possibly can, and considering Zingy's usually pretty good at race starts, and avoiding collisions in the beginning of Grand Prix, the further he can get up, the better for him. He's just immense at doing that, regardless of where he starts. Had a couple of issues in recent races with the beginnings of races, including the jump start at Hungary, of course. But other than that, he's usually pretty squeaky clean. Not getting anyone coming out yet. There's still a bit of time left on the clock, but they don't want to really go out too early. So it is all a bit of a standstill at the moment. Tom Brainerd, he is going to be the next one to go into the pit lane. He is doing 2 laps on these tyres, just getting as much practice as he can in, I guess. Hopefully he can show some good pace tomorrow, but obviously not been easy in recent times for him to get that practice down. So anything that he can do tomorrow will be epic. Alrighty. Now there's everyone into the pit lane. We will think about strategy. It is a long and hard race, so hard tyres could be a valid option, but regarding that you need a lot of grip, downforce at this circuit, it might be possible to actually go for a more aggressive soft, medium, soft, medium, medium, maybe a medium soft, but then at the same time, this circuit has been very well known to cause tyres to overheat. So we'll find out when we get to the start, of course, what the drivers have opted for. I think it could go any way, and I know there will be some people that will try the softer tyre. It's just inevitable. There might be a few people who try and go for the severe undercut, or the severe overcut, either way. It could work. And the fact that it's a lot easier to defend at this circuit compared to others, it does mean that you do have a bit more flexibility with the strategy, which makes this circuit so great. Not only the close walls and the high adrenaline, and of course it being a night race, which makes it unique, it is a very technical and demanding track. And in the world of sim racing, whether you're on pad or you're on wheel, it is very physical as well. It can be very tiring mentally as well. So it is a super tough race, and these guys, some of them would have been happy with a wet race, but I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people in today's race that are happy that it is dry, because when you get a wet race at Singapore, it is killer. Of course, we've got a few corners missing. As you go down the straight here, usually you would turn a hard left and then you go right here, but nope, we don't do that anymore. We skip the tunnel, which is arguably the best part of the circuit, ironically, and then we exit as we usually would through to the final few corners. And Heisler is going to start again to try and get his first and only lap down up the qualifying session. He's tried to give himself a little bit more time extra, I believe, but unfortunately wouldn't get enough time to go again if he did invalidate this lap, so it is all or nothing. Once again locking up the rears, and that was a little bit cleaner than we saw before. So much quicker, getting it pretty perfect. So that inside curve doesn't seem to be upsetting the car, so they are using it nicely. Bit of a lack of knowledge from me there. Maybe I'm still stuck in the F122 game. Bit of a missed apex on the inside, but they just wanted to make sure that they made the corner compared to last time, of course, when they invalidated. Getting the car rotated on the throttle and on the exit, close to the wall. Easy to get wrong where the wall sticks out, and as well here, as we saw George Russell, but Paris no George Russell. He manages to avoid that wall very, very easily. As he's in the Ferrari looking like Carlos Sainz. Favourite driver though, Lando Norris, P1 and P2 in the 23 Singapore Grand Prix. Enough of that being said, DRS available for the final time of the lap. Heavy braking, don't hit the Salesforce sign on the outside, they get the job done. They don't miss their braking point, as we almost saw Korsman go into the wall earlier on. Down the final straight now, just a couple more corners, and you've got to be super careful as you can really bottom out that car on the curbs. They don't do it, they get it done. One final corner to go. What's it going to be for Heischler as they cross the line in Singapore? It's going to be a P3, not bad at all considering the circumstance. We have got Korsman, who is going to be up after Nifojan. Nifojan is in P10 at the moment. What's it going to be for the AlphaTauri? P5 in the end. Korsman will be next. Then we'll get the Alpine of PJ, and that is a very nice improvement there. 0.5 for him. PJ into the pit lane. It's now going to be Tom Brainer. What can he get done here? Is it going to be possible for him to get further up the order? He's flashing on the ERS though, so I don't know how that's going to go. It's going to be a P7 in the end, and he will not improve. We're going to go to JJ, who will cross the line for the final time. What's it going to be for the Alfa Romeo driver? P9 in the end. And then it's going to be a bit of a mix-up with the McLaren drivers, who actually will not be completing laps. That is going to be an invalidation from Devon Young, who looks like he's still trying to complete this lap. But no, he backs off at the final opportunity, and that's going to be that one. Becken will not improve. Qualifying is over, and Korsman yet again is on pole position. Eventually, Zingy did end up in P last. A lot of work to do, but also increased chance of getting driver of the day, which is always a nice thing to have at the end. Korsman is going to be in an absolute dream world at the moment though. As long as he can get a good launch off the line, no matter what tire he's on, he'll probably be sorted. Obviously Becken's going to have to try and fight Korsman, but also deal with Heischler, who is no slouch off the line. He's very good at getting into the battles at the start of races. Qualifying complete. We'll get the results up on the screen, and then we'll head to the race. That is Korsman on pole with Becken in P2, Heischler in P3. That's the rest of the grid. And then we'll go to the race director, just in case if we need to. And then we'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready? Hold. Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are away. Korsman gets away well. Will the McLaren be able to fight on the inside? They will. They'll stick their nose in. They'll lead for a moment. He's not going to be able to come back. I think the McLaren's done it. Looking for the switchback, but he's blocked by the Ferrari. Becken leads the Singapore Grand Prix after the first few corners. That is Heichler trying to challenge the Williams as well. He's not going to be able to get there. They're both on the hard tyres. A brilliant start from Becken right there. He's not going to be challenged, it seems. He stays where he is. They're also on hard tyres, so there's no question about that one. That is Nifo side by side up in front. There's also side by side moments with Heichler as Devon Young tries to make progress, steering in. There was contact, must have been with the Aston Martin as well, and Nifo not going to be happy with that one. I do hope he doesn't have damage. JJ is further down the order, unfortunately, and Peanuts, he might have a bit of wing damage, but he's got the Haas driver right there, and Ziggy sticking his nose in. That's never going to work. PJ just about stays in front, and he just about avoids contact. Almost a massive collision with Robbo and Zingy there. I didn't quite get to see the start of that battle, but that was a massive risk taken by a couple of drivers there, which probably didn't need to happen. That's going to be Peanuts and Nivojan at the early stages, already going for the move into, I believe that's turn 14, and yeah, not an easy place to overtake, as you always try to want to send it, and you've got to trust the other driver. We are Becken leads after lap 1, and it's going to be Korsman staying closely behind though. Is he going to look for the move into the first corner? It would be very unorthodox to do that. Don't think anybody is going to be fighting right now, but it will actually be a fighting moment there with PJ and Robbo. PJ loses 2 positions to both Zingy and the McLaren of Robbo. Tom Brainer very close, but it is Korsman who we want to have a quick look at. He isn't going to be challenging, I don't believe. No, he will. He is going to have a look, just a spook. But other than that, he will stay as he is. No switching up, further behind. And we won't even get anything from Zingy, who is actually quite far behind from Tom Brainer, of course, who is in the pack now. We could see some very close moments within the next few laps, as DRS is going to be on its way, and we've got a couple DRS opportunities around this circuit. 3, in fact, the start finish straight, the next straight, and the next straight after that. The final straight doesn't have it, unfortunately. Now, where will Korsman look for it? He managed to miss out on the race win, I believe, at Singapore, as they had an ERS bug on the final few laps, but they had mega pace this time. They're going to get a second shot at it. They're not exactly leading the Grand Prix where they want to be, but they don't need to risk anything. It's only lap 2 out of 31. 30 is a lot of laps to get through. As long as they keep their front wing, they'll be fine. Nifo goes for the fastest lap as everybody is being dragged along in the train. A spectacle to see. PJ into the pit lane. Korsman, is this going to be the moment that he takes to go for that overtake and gain the lead as he started? Becken can't do anything about it. That Williams is way too close. He's going to let him go. He doesn't want to fight. It's going to be Heichler coming in as well. Becken knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he manages to hold on to P2 rather than fighting and losing out big time. Zingy can't find a way through with the DRS train. Everybody's staying as they are, more or less. Just can't find the pace, can the Scotsman? To get through, he needs to try and hope that one of the drivers has a mistake. Tapping the wall on the left. Hopefully he doesn't get damaged, but he really does see that Tom Brainer is slow. There's going to be contact. He wanted to try and get a bit of a desperate move after making a mistake himself. He would have been able to do it if he had not made that mistake, but unfortunately he just had to sacrifice that moment. And yeah, hopefully he's not going to be in trouble for that little bit of contact with Tom Brainer. Hopefully he'll be alright with it, but whatever happens, happens. Tom doesn't manage to lose out too much to the car in front, so it seems okay, but like I said, Zingy is really risking his front wing quite unnecessarily right here. We've got Becken leading the way. Oh, and he's not going to be there anymore. I was going to say leading the way in P2 from Korsman, of course, because Korsman is actually the leader, but Becken unfortunately loses the car on the hard tyre. Just a little bit too slippy, unfortunately. That's going to split these guys up, and Heischer's actually got a time penalty, and we see this so many times. When one car has an issue, all of a sudden there's a big void in between the next two cars, and it basically gives an opportunity for the car in front to actually break away. So that does mean that now Heischer's probably going to miss out on DRS. Korsman's going to have a chance to really get a strategy going on and be comfortable. And Devon Young's going to have an opportunity to overtake as well without a time penalty, just to add to that. Nifojan right there makes a mistake. Peanuts is definitely going to be looking to try and get something done. They are using the energy initially, but they do avoid it. Although, no energy for Nifojan, so it does show to the Swede that he is a bit vulnerable up in front. And it might be time to make some moves. Lap 4 of the 31. Zingy fights Tom Brainerd yet again to the outside line. They absolutely clout the wall, and then they have to turn in a little bit earlier, end up tapping Tom Brainerd, so they get through. It was a little bit aggressive. I'm sure Tom Brainerd's not going to be happy with that one, as he wiggles on the straight to try and apologise for the moment. But now they do both lose out to DRS on the cars in front, so they've got a bit of work to do. And they've got a DRS rate coming where the cars in front will work together as a bit of a train. Devon Young is going to be looking at making this move on Heischer. He will catch up towards the end of the straight. Heischer can't compete with the energy, but not going to go for the move. Didn't really feel that it was safe enough to go from it that far back this early on in the Grand Prix. He's got the tools, the ability to go for an easier move at a different opportunity. Why doesn't he just take it? He can do it, just take it. Zingy 1.3 seconds now, gains 2/10 overall. That is exactly what he needs to do, but he can't really afford to waste too much time, because you can see P1 2.3 seconds in front of the field. Absolutely nuts. Doing a good job. We've got Nifojan, who, if Devon isn't going to go for the move on Heischer, he'll probably try and jump in, although he's not exactly got any energy to deploy. So he's got to really focus on staying in front of Peanuts. Maybe the best defense is an offense, and in that case he does need to try and make a move on Devon Young. He's not far away at all. He could get a double toe and maybe look at going for a move on both Heischer and Devon. It really depends, but yeah, Devon's going to surely have a look at going for the move on the Ferrari. That being said, though, the Ferraris absolutely smashed that final sector, created a bit of a gap. 8/10 might be enough. 5/10 though, made a bit of a mistake, unfortunately. I don't think Devon's going to be close enough, though. He uses a bit of energy to make sure he catches up. He uses that energy to make sure he defends from Nifojan. Zingy's back in the DRS train. Tom Brainerd got problems from Robbo. Robbo makes that move right to the exit on the track limits. That is a very, very nice move indeed. Pushing to the limit right there. Only just made the corner without getting a warning. And now he is in P7, looking to try and see if he can catch up to the train. Not going to be easy. On one hand, the DRS train obviously kicks in, but on the other, around a circuit like this with lots of corners, it does mean that the train does slow itself down a little bit. So 2.2 seconds might be possible to catch here. EJ and JJ unfortunately a bit further behind, of course, with Becken having their issues. That being said, Becken isn't exactly that far away, only having a spin. So he's slowly reeling in the cars in front, trying to make his way back through the grid if he can. We'll see. Nifo very close yet again to Devon Young. Devon closer than ever to Heischer as we get into the first corner. He's probably going to have an opportunity to go for it here. That's if Nifo can maybe force Devon to going for the move even if he didn't want to. On the exit, not getting the best exit. That Ferrari is doing a great job This time, Devon Young doesn't use the energy. He wasn't quite close enough to use the energy and go for an overtake, but also he's just trying to save it, I think. He has a little bit less than he did before, not using the full extent of the track on exit there. So maybe struggling a little bit with dirty air. He does really need to try and get that move done, but Heischler on the corners that it counts at, he is doing a great job at getting that traction down, getting that gap. That is Tom Brainerd out of the session. Safety cars deployed, and he must have hit the wall on the left-hand side right there, and then it brought him to he hit the wall maybe on the right-hand side and then gone to the left, or he's just turned in too early and hit the left-hand side, or maybe a combination of both. He's hit the right-hand side wall, turned in left, and then it's turned him in a bit more than he would have expected, and then that's history basically. PJ will get a second chance. He'll be brought back into this race, so will JJ. Heischler's not going to be too happy because now that time penalty is going to be a bit more of a problem. But of course, Nifo, Nifo's staying out. Interesting. Zingy's going to go into the pit lane, which is, I'm a bit confused, to be honest. I don't know why they both didn't just go in, but we'll see. We'll have a look at the strategy, actually. It'd be definitely worth a shot. Just see how it goes. We said we were going to have a look at it. And it's going to be Heischler, Devon, Peanut, Zingy, all on the medium tyre. Everyone is on the medium tyre. I'm going to assume they started on the hards, and then it will mean that they're going to do a double medium, whereas Nifo is going to go hards to their medium. When would he go to the medium? It would be about lap 15, 16 maybe 17, 18. So he's got about just under 10 laps, I'd say, to try and hold off from the cars behind, which might not be impossible, but with slightly old hard tyres and fresh medium tyres and lots of corners, I know it's hard to overtake around this circuit, but I reckon it's going to be pretty difficult for him to be able to hold this one. PJ unfortunately speeding into the pit lane, so he's going to go get some tyres on, and then he's probably going to come back in to serve that 5-second time penalty immediately after, which is a hell of a shame, but he'll still be good to go on tyres, I'm pretty sure. We're just going to take this opportunity to quickly look at the tyre situation. So race director it is. And then you can see, yes, no one went for that soft tyre. PJ has gone very multicoloured. So he will go back to a medium that he was racing on earlier on, I assume. Unless he is just going to stay on this tyre and stay with a 5-second. But he probably has an opportunity to be able to do that. Lots of track limits. From a fair few drivers. I'm wondering if some of these maybe aren't legitimate. As you can see, Heischler has quite a few right there. I reckon maybe he's got that on a bug, possibly. Or no, maybe not. 4-4, okay. No, I think it's possibly genuine. So not exactly what you want at this stage of the race, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Question is, will this man go into the pit lane immediately? We'll find out. It wouldn't be a bad idea to. He's going to stay out. He's just going to try and catch up to the pack, and then he's going to go across the pit lane, so he's going to serve his 5-second time penalty to avoid it later, but then he's going to gain a time penalty because he's crossed the pit lane entry. That's not exactly what was supposed to happen. Yeah, Nifo also went into the pit lane a lap later, so they didn't try and hold on to track position, which is a shame, Because they should have just pitted earlier on and they would have been in a much better position. But yeah, so I believe PJ will have served his 5 seconds but gained a 3-second. Safety cars in this lap. Interestingly, I don't exactly know why the safety cars decided to go in this lap and not wait for him. Very strange. Unfortunately, PJ is now going to lose out even more, which is a massive shame. Korsman will lead the way. Heisler in P2. Here is the Williams. We'll go on board and watch out. When will he go for it? The safety car not into the pit lane yet, but will come into the pit lane around about now. And he's gone for it already. Lovely restart from Korsman. It was all a little bit tricky. Maybe on the limiter slightly. More or less, it stays as it is. Peanuts not able to react as well as the other cars. Heisler will now get a second chance at being able to hold on to the race leader if he can. Devon Young sitting in P3, very racy off the start. Maybe slightly put out of perspective from the gap between himself and the car behind. Zingy already looking to the inside line. No, that's Nifojan actually looking to the inside line. Outside line for Zingy as he's going to get that move on Peanuts. He's not. Perfect defending there from the Aston Martin. Shows him the door, and that is exactly what you need to do. He is the F1.5 EU Championship leader, and he's showing that he can race in any tier at an amazing standard. Very good job there from Peanuts, and he catches up to the cars in front as well. In the meantime, Korsman does break away, so Devon Young, it's going to be his chance to be able to catch up, and Becken is going to be out of the Grand Prix already. I don't know what's happened there, but we've got a couple cars who are a bit slower. You can see Becken's car in the background, and he's had a absolute nightmare. I don't exactly know who that would have been. We've got Robbo on the left-hand side with Peanuts leading the way. It's almost 3 wide. It is going to be 3 wide. I don't know what was happening there. A little bit of a panic maybe. And now Robbo has the inside line. I think that's going to be his move against Zingy. It's all very, very difficult going off the circuit, staying on the circuit. I don't know what's going on. Robbo's going to be ahead, and that is going to be that move done. Zingy's not going to be able to get down the inside, so he's going to have to wait a little bit more. There's a lot of aggression trying to kick in, and he's even going to go for the inside immediately. I don't know what Robbo was thinking there, turned in way too early. They're going to lose time to Peanuts. Peanuts is going to be able to react. They're going to use all the energy they can, only draining their battery out into the braking zone at the final straight, and Zingy's going to then show him the exit. So they're both pushing each other off the circuit at this point. Zingy gets ahead eventually. Nifo, he's going to be able to catch up now. I wonder, did Nifo have an incident with Becken maybe? Because Becken has carried straight on into the hairpin basically, slightly to the right hand side of the circuit it looked like. So I believe that maybe they've gone side by side. Becken's hit the wall on the right hand side as it kind of kinks towards the right as you brake. It's very possible. I'm not entirely sure. Korsman leads the way. Then we have got Devon Young, who's finally made that move on Heisler. Heisler with that time penalty. These guys have an opportunity to actually break away together as Peanuts isn't able to catch up. They were fighting a little bit a moment ago, and that is another 3 second, unfortunately, for Heisler. Peanuts has got a lot of hard work to do right here. That's going to be Robbo losing the position to Nifojan. So Nifo has made that move as Robbo maybe got damaged from the battling they've done with Zingy. It's possible. DRS is going to be available though. No energy for Nifo, but a fair bit of energy for Robbo, so they will have that opportunity, but he's actually going to lift off and let that happen. Not going to fight it after all. Maybe he does have damage, but he seems to have a pretty full wing. So I don't exactly know what his plan is here, but he's backing off for the time being. Zingy is going to be released. He's trying to catch up to Peanuts. Peanuts is doing a pretty good job at catching up to the cars in front though, so they're on a bit of a roll at the moment. Devon Young's broken away from Heischler. So these guys are all a bit split up at the moment. And the most likely person to make an overtake will be Zingy on Peanuts. So they're not exactly slowing each other down, but Zingy still is going to go for that move. Peanuts moves far to the inside just to let the position go. Lifts off, slots in behind. They'll have a bit of a DRS train kind of situation going on so they can make sure that they catch the cars in front. And they did gain 2/10 by doing such a thing. No DRS, but slipstream and ERS. If they don't fight each other, they will gain time regardless. Ooh, Zingy goes off the circuit, making a mistake in clean air for the first time. He, regardless, does catch up to Heischler, so he's going to get a lovely dose of DRS. And he's going to be able to relax a little bit, which he hasn't been able to do for a while. He's got no energy in that car. It's going to be tough. Robbo and Nifojan switching it up again. Nifo looking for the switchback available on the entry. Robbo's going to brake as late as he possibly could. And Nifo reads it well. Stays behind. Energy not available for this man either, so it is a demanding circuit. It's hard to gain back the ERS, which is weird because there's so many corners, but it just always has been a circuit that it's been hard to actually gain anything. That is going to be Zingy already sending it on the inside at the hairpin on Heischler, and then we've got Peanuts also trying to look for a move. I think he's going to look for a move on the exit, but actually there's a bit of a slow moment there from Heischler, which meant that Peanuts couldn't actually get through, unfortunately. He's had to back off a little bit there and then try and find another way through. I'm sure he's going to have a go very, very soon, though. Very quick driver. Here he goes. Inside line at turn 1. He knows that he'll get DRS on Zingy if he makes this move work. There's a big tap. And then Heischler is going to come back at him as they make that contact. They're now going to lose DRS to Zingy. And instead of trying to work together and make that smart move, they've ended up losing DRS together. And then inevitably Peanuts will probably get through on the DRS anyway. He doesn't actually get close enough after all. But yeah, very confusing. They've now, for good, lost Zingy, as they will continue to fight a little bit. And Zingy will make his way up to Devon Young. Instead of fighting in a bit of a train, Peanuts can't find a way through yet. But he's having a look already. There's going to be contact. That was inevitable. And that will be Robbo going through on Peanuts. Nifojan trying to follow. He will. Heischler down the order. And it is going to be Nifo going through. Both drivers with no front wings now. So that is an automatic promotion. Very close moments. And a little bit too close, unfortunately. I have to say, this man obviously has not had too much to think about. A little bit of a safety car moment where he had to give it a shot. And of course we're waiting for DRS to just stay clean. But other than that, he's doing a phenomenal job and he's got phenomenal pace. Devon Young also in a very good position at the moment today. Zingy making his way up the field as best as he can. Peanuts into the pit lane. And I assume Heischler will follow on in hot pursuit to get those fresh tyres on and see if they can maybe get back into the race later on. Zingy 1.5 seconds behind Devon Young in P2. This is for the second spot on the podium, so regardless of where they would be, they would get a podium either way. We have also got, of course, Nifojan and Robbo who are close together, but they're not in positions to make any overtakes at this stage. 1.1 seconds, gaining 4/10. This is why you can see that it is Singapore. But Korsman in another league of his own right now. That is going to be PJ losing the car. He will continue though. And no safety car will be deployed. I think you're looking to try and get the DRS already. Not quite available on this straight, but I think he will get it on the start-finish straight, which will only allow him to set up a move. to the main straight. Exactly what he needs to do in this scenario. Big loss of the rear there for Devon Young. Korsman getting a 3-second time penalty. That brings that gap to around about 2.7 seconds that Zingy can now maybe look at. He is a very strong contender for this Grand Prix victory. Going from P11 to P3 for now, hunting down P2. ERS is not exactly of an excess. ERS is going to be very useful, and he won't be able to make that move just yet. The corners seem to be a strength, however, so I think it is going to be very soon that he's going to try and make that move. Devon Young has got ERS to spare, as we saw before the first safety car, so not this time will it be used to overtake, it will be used to defend from the car behind. That being said, lap 16 out of 31, are you going to let Zingy go, or are you going to fight him? Will you just try and lose minimal time, or are you actually going to try and hold on and maybe help your race a little bit later? These guys must be going to the softs later on in the Grand Prix. Peanuts and Heisler obviously will be going to the end. It will be tough, but it will be their only option really. They could get a pretty decent undercut and maybe hold on at the final stages. DRS not available. Zingy will not be going for this move, but he's closer than ever, and I think the overtake should be very much on. Obviously with the controller in his hand, he does get a very, very, very subtle amount of traction, which means that on the exit before the main straight, he should be pretty good to go. Lifting off the throttle, doesn't need to get any closer, doesn't need to risk it. And then we get to the next few corners, turn 3, 4 and 5. This is exactly where he needs to set it up. He can push into this corner here, and on the exit, make sure he gets a perfect run on the throttle, and he does. Pretty decent. DRS, he's close enough, not really using much energy. He just wants to be able to get side by side. Devon Young's going to let it go. He'll take the racing line. They read that both very well. That is how that goes. That is going to be Peanuts immediately retiring from the safety car on the exit of the final few main corners. And that's going to bring everyone closer together. All of a sudden now, Zingy's in second place with no time penalty. Korsman P1 with a time penalty. That has changed things a lot, and that is very, very unfortunate for the Williams' sake. Absolutely tragic. He is doing a phenomenal job, and now that lead has pretty much been taken away. Both Swedish drivers now out of this Grand Prix. Korsman, what's he going to do? Is he going to go for that medium tyre? It would be the more straightforward option. I don't think you'd really have any other choice. Why would you go for softs? Why would you go for hards? You might as well just go for that faster tyre. Heisler and PJ, they might try and stay out possibly, or have to find out a little bit later. But that is Korsman into the pit lane. Are both of these guys going to go into the pit lane? They will. As they are, no questions at all. Devon Young. Then we've got Robbo. We'll do exactly the same thing as quick as he can. That's going to be PJ, who stays out again. And then JJ, he's also going to stay out, interestingly. Doesn't want to go for the pit stops now. He maybe knows that he's far back anyway, so he might just try and kill some time, not pit until a little bit later, and then maybe get a bit fresher tyres. That would be exactly what he wants. He's actually going to jump in front of Korsman as well, who's on the softs. Excuse me. I don't know why he is on the soft tyre, but yeah, that is JJ disqualified from the session, as I believe he maybe tried to unlap the safety car as PJ was, not realising that he was the race leader, and he's out of the Grand Prix. JJ did not realise that he was the race leader, and he's gone. That is something that I have not seen for a long time. Hopefully that doesn't affect him tomorrow, but that automatically puts Korsman back in the lead with a set of soft tyres. I don't know if Korsman was meant to be on this tyre or not. I can't really tell you. I would suggest not. Maybe they want to go for a double soft, but the amount of time that you'd lose versus the amount of time you'd gain, I think is just really not worth it. Thought the Alpine was the lead car, so followed them through. That is tragic. Very, very tragic. Well, this is the Alpine, and he's trying his best to catch up as best as he can, and he knows that he can't afford to make a pit stop because he might lose out on the safety car restart, as he did just a couple of laps ago when we got that safety car from when Tom Brainer crashed out of the Grand Prix. No safety car for Becken though, as it was on exactly the same lap or just after the first safety car went in. It meant we didn't get one deployed in the game. That's the rules, that's how it works. Sometimes it deploys it if it's late enough in the lap, but this time not really. Now, Zingy will be liking the look of this, liking his chances. Korsman, I think, is maybe trying to make the best out of a bad situation. But we'll have to really get an interview from them later on. It might genuinely be that they have decided to go onto this tyre. I'm not entirely sure. We'll hear from him. And we'll see what he has to say. Maybe he's just kind of thinking, I don't really have anything to lose. With this time penalty, it's going to be super difficult. We'll find out how it goes. Will Devon Young maybe be able to follow Zingy? Fight for that win in the F1 tier and deny the Scotsman from taking a win again this season? We'll find out. PJ in the F1 car against the GT car, trying his best to catch up. He might be able to do it, I think. There are quite a few corners. There are a fair few straights these days, so it won't be as straightforward for PJ to catch up, but he has got a couple straights himself to get through, and then a couple of corners as well that he is going to be pushing. So for his tyre wear, it's not great, of course, but for his sake of getting back into this race, it is absolutely crucial that he pushes as much as he possibly can. I will say, Heischler, if the safety car doesn't come in, he could definitely go for a pit stop here and get fresher tyres. He really could. I'm not entirely sure if he maybe doesn't have any fresh mediums left. That is a very possible outcome, so maybe I'm just completely chatting and I don't need to really look at that because it's just something that's never going to happen, but we'll find out. We'll find out, of course. PJ not quite close enough. The safety car stays out for the minute, but we'll watch on board with Korsman, see if it decides to dive into the pit lane at the very last second, as it does in the game sometimes. No, it's past the pit lane, and that is going to be them continuing on their merry way. It's going to be JJ leading the session. I believe it's only JJ. Oh, as he has been disqualified. My bad. Didn't mean to see that one. It is going to be a pit stop. It's not going to be a pit stop from PJ. He's going to stay out as he was. He had an opportunity, didn't want to take it. Heischler also didn't take it. Maybe they just didn't have the tyres. I would assume that is the most logical decision from their side. They're not in a bad situation. The tyres are still going to be good to the end of the race. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. This is exactly what Korsman doesn't want, because he's now got less time to try and make up any losses that he will get on this tyre later on. But he's also going to be running out of peak performance on this softer compound. You want to have absolutely fresh tyres, and with a tyre that doesn't last that long, the longer you stay under the safety car conditions, sure, the tyre wear is less, but you really do lose out on that advantage compared to a set of medium tyres, which is going to have a much steadier cliff to fall off from. Thingy holding back, you can see he's just trying to run that fuel out on the car, dragging the brakes, slightly locking up the front tyres. It'll warm those tyres up. That's really what he's trying to do, just get those tyres warm rather than running the fuel out. I think it's probably a mix, but I believe tyre temperature is more of a crucial thing in this game. than wait. It's all good stuff though, and it's exactly what he should be doing if he wants to give himself a good chance at winning this Grand Prix. We've got Korsman leading the way for the safety car restart, and then we've got the king of safety car restarts to react to the man that is performing the safety car restart. We are about to go racing once again after the safety car restart, and the safety car has got a couple more corners to go until it gets to the pit lane and we can go for the restart. Hope you like that. Alright, safety car into the final 2 corners. When will he go for it? Zingy's ready. Zingy's waiting, not warming up his tyres, paying attention, slightly speeding up, and that is a brilliant reaction there from Zingy. He is nice and close to the back of the Williams car, and he's going to be really racing him pretty hard, I assume, right off the bat. The other cars, more or less, relaxing as they are. They don't really need to do anything about it. PJ is back in this race as well. Everyone is back in this race. Korsman leads the way. Zingy is right there. The soft tyres are looking pretty good immediately, so no questions about that one. It's going to happen. The question is, will the tyres drop off before we get to DRS? That will really be a crucial moment that we could actually see things change, and if Zingy can hold on to DRS, then I think it is game over for Korsman. It's not exactly playing into his hands at this stage. It wasn't great off the start for him. After he managed to get past Becken, it was all pretty good. He's had quite a few hurdles thrown his way in this Grand Prix though, and this is his toughest one yet, especially with a suspected tyre bug, unfortunately. Zingy not losing that much time. These soft tyres, they're good, but I don't know if they're good enough to fight the power of Scotland. You listen very carefully, you can hear the bagpipes. He's in the rear a little bit. He is having to push. He's just trying to minimise that time loss. The question is, do you minimise that time loss, or do you just try and maybe minimise your chance of making a mistake, minimise your chance of getting a track limit warning, and then fight back later on, as he inevitably will be doing with this tyre? It's not going to be easy for either driver. I think he's also got to worry about Devon Young, who is right behind. He'll get DRS on the next lap probably regardless, and it will give the AlphaTauri driver a little bit to think about. Devon does have an opportunity to go for the win here, so does Robbo, who's not too far behind either. If they can fight Zingy, Korsman, with that time penalty, is only going to drop further behind. So as long as they get in front of that AlphaTauri, they will have an opportunity. He is breaking away though, 8/10. That man is rapid right now. 0.3 of a second away from DRS range. Now, Korsman should be good to go for the next probably 3 laps, more or less. 4 laps away, it will start to even out, and then other than that, those medium tyres will really kick in, and they'll be good to go. I will say, they've lasted a little bit longer in previous races around various circuits this season than I would have expected, but I don't think it's going to be quite so good for this circuit. DRS is going to be enabled. Devon Young doing his absolute best to hold on, but I think it might be game over at this stage. It's going to be very tough for him to defend from Robbo, who is going to have that DRS as well. So at 1.3 seconds, looks like that gap's already equalising with Zingy and Korsman. Doesn't get the DRS. This man does get the DRS, but he's not close enough to make a move at this point. We'll stay behind for now. He's got a couple laps to try and get this move done, so there is no rush needed. As long as you make sure you keep count, you'll be absolutely fine. Nifo trying his best to catch up, but he does have some time penalties to his name, unfortunately. Heisler also got time penalties to his name as well. Even if he does get in front of Nifojan, he might not be able to stay in front for good. At this stage, it's possible that PJ will be able to gain a position or two. 6 seconds for Heisler, of course, but He's going to have to make sure that he picks it up and maintains that gap, otherwise it's not going to be so straightforward. In the meantime, that is 3/10 that has been brought to the table by Korsman, so he's showing that these soft tyres are working as they should be for now. It's just whether, is he going to try and maybe save them so they last a little bit longer, or is he really going to just try and use that peak performance now and hope that it's a big enough buffer later on in the Grand Prix? These tyres will go to the end of the race. They will go without a puncture, but they're just going to be so much slower. Here we go, Devon Young, Robbo, DRS, much closer than before. ERS will be used, I'm sure. You can see it's happening to the inside line immediately, then back to the outside line he'll go. There's contact between the two. Devon Young trying his best to hold on. They're just about given enough space on the exit. Robbo has the inside line. On the exit, they're so close to the wall. They still manage to keep it out of it, though. Robbo is going to make that move as he muscles his way past. That is awesome. Between these two guys that have been very close rivals on the circuit this season so far. Championship-wise, of course, missing a few races from Robbo's side. It's been a little bit tough for him, but he might be able to make his way back through. But that was a brilliant move from this man. P3 it is for now, looking to get this podium. Devon Young didn't have an answer. He might be able to get back through on DRS though, but that man is rapid at this stage of the race. Talking about rapid, Zingy catching up to Korsman. DRS will be available for this man. Is it the tyres? Is it a mistake from Korsman? Or has Zingy just brought the pace to another level? ERS has been used, it seems, so maybe he tries to bring that to his advantage. Korsman can't really use any. He doesn't really have any available to make something worthwhile. So I think this is it. This is the time that Zingy makes that switch and tries to come back. And I think he is going to be on cue to win the Singapore Grand Prix. His first win for a couple of weeks. I believe Korsman won in Mexico. I believe he... Well, I don't believe, I know he won in Hungary. So it has been a little bit of a while. And on any track on the calendar that Zingy would want to win, it is this one. He loves it. Almost making contact, then a little bit of a love tap with the back of the Williams, but he won't be going for this move anyway at this point of the circuit. There is literally no need for him to do that. Would he go for the exit here and try and put trust in his tyres? I don't know. We could get some games possibly here. Korsman is going to stay to the racing line. Zingy's going to lift off. He's allowed to do that if he's behind. Korsman would have had to wait for Zingy to be able to get side by side before he broke early or lifted off early, but he doesn't get side by side. Korsman stays in front as he should do. Now there's going to be Devon Young down the order as he makes a mistake at the final corner, and he is going to lose out a lot of time, possibly his front wing. We'll stay with this battle though. This is for the race lead. Floor trying his best. Tars Korsman he is also known as, and it's Zingy to the inside line he will look for. That's going to be the move. He's going to have the grip. He's not even going to fight it. It's not worth the risk. Easy pickings, lap 26 out of 31. If he can't fight now, he's not going to be able to fight later. Zingy leads the Grand Prix for the first time this evening. Korsman gave it a very good shot, but I think it's just not gone his way today. It has not meant to be. With that time penalty, with the tyre bug, it's just super tough to deal with. And with the safety car as well, spending way too long under the safety car due to everybody trying to catch up. It's just been a terrible day. I wonder if he maybe didn't have any softs available, mediums available, why he went for the softs, but regardless, it hasn't worked. This man now is in low man's land, as of course Devon making that mistake. Nifajan in P4. There is Devon with PJ, who is close behind. No damage for the Red Bull, so they continue as they are. P5 would be decent, but not what they wanted. They were fighting for the podium, and I'm sure they're going to want to try and keep that. That is a 3-second time penalty, however, for Nifo. Would Devon be able to bring that back down? I think after a spin, it would be very, very difficult to do so. So P5 for him looks like it will be as it is. As Heischler went to the pit lane and he's looking for the fastest lap this time around. Get that extra point on board. He had paced this race. Obviously that incident really gave him some issues. And then another incident a little bit later on, which is why he went for that fastest lap attempt. Improved by 2/10. We'll look at the fastest lap right now. That is Zingy a 3.0. So still needs 1.3 seconds to catch up to that Scotsman. Not the Scotsman, sorry, Corseman, who of course was on that soft tyre anyway. So it might be that Heischler considers going into the pit lane again. 22 seconds behind already. It wouldn't be a bad shout to go for that second opportunity. Corseman's not doing a bad job at all, to be fair. I believe they've maybe dropped behind, maybe looking at saving some ERS to come back a little bit later, whilst they still have a little bit of tyre wear, holding in the DRS because of that. But I just don't know if these tyres will last long enough. And maybe Robbo will be able to catch up, get within that time penalty range and have a go of that P2. It is very, very possible. It's just how drastic do these soft tyres drop off at the end of this Grand Prix. Lap 28 or 31, we haven't got that long, and these tyres don't seem that bad, to be honest. ERS is being used, he will catch up. ERS doesn't really seem to be used, as he doesn't want to use it, he wants to try and save it for these final opportunities, just holding on as best as he can. 4.3 seconds between himself and Robbo behind. Will Robbo be able to get close enough to close in and get within that time penalty range? We will find out very shortly. On the other hand, everybody else pretty much staying as they are. Devon Young is catching to Nifo Jan. I don't think they're catching at a quick enough rate to be able to get in front of that AlphaTauri, however. So close to the wall, even at this stage of the Grand Prix, locking up the rears to get that rotation. And even though they've not got long left to go, they're taking these risks. They know what they need to do. As a driver, put on a show. They have done. Still holding on to DRS range as he continues to push that car. Zingy also, of course, close to the wall, but not quite locking up the rears to gain that pace. He doesn't need to. There's just such a big risk by doing so. Corseman 7/10. How close can he get that gap? Will it get to 5? It stays to 6. It gets to 5 and then immediately back to 6, unfortunately. Lap 29 out of 31. He's doing a lot better than I thought. And he is breaking away a little bit from Robbo by staying in this DRS train. So, yeah, hats off to him. He's not doing bad at all. Zingy, of course, is the faster car. I am wondering if he's maybe backed off because he's got everything to lose at this stage. Inevitably, he will be able to hold on with these tyres regardless, so I don't think he's really concerned about that. That being said, he's got to make sure that he doesn't have a repeat of a few seasons ago where he was kind of relaxing and Nifo pulled the pin and he couldn't catch him. He lost that race win. Nifo on his debut season. His first ever victory at this circuit, with the old layout, of course. Absolutely gapped him on the final few laps of the Grand Prix. Only took him a couple races to get his first victory, which is why he is a legend of this league. Zingy leads the way. Corseman still holding on a pretty decent gap for himself. He maintains that 7/10 and he gains 4/10 on the McLaren driver. He's doing a great job. We're going to watch on board and see those tyres. They are matte, very matte, and that just shows in this game that the tyres are finished. Don't usually see people getting to lap 12 on the softs. DRS is possible for him to gain on, but Zingy now pushing with the energy just to make sure that he does create a gap on these last few laps. He's doing everything that he needs to do. Do not give up until it is over. This is what you can see from these guys. Horseman almost got back into DRS range for a moment there, but I think it's going to be good to go. So close to the wars on entry. These guys have so much precision. This is why they're at the front. It is absolutely beyond me that they can do such things, especially with Zingy being on a controller. The commitment that they have and the accuracy. I say accuracy so much. That is where you gain the fine tenths. These guys can do it well. Accuracy is key. Maybe Zingy got it wrong in qualifying with accuracy, but he's redeeming himself right now. It's not been an easy race. He's starting the final lap. He's broken away from Korsman. Not too far away. Korsman's still proving that he's done an incredible job today, and he deserves to get a good result. It's not what he wants, but it's what he's going to have to settle with. That being said, we've still got a couple of corners to go that Zingy needs to go through to be able to win this Grand Prix. Robbo stays in third place on his own. Nifojan stays in fourth place and actually gaps Devon Young a little bit. We've got PJ in P6 and Heischler, who does eventually go into the pit lane to get some really, really fresh tyres on his car. And I believe he's going to be looking for the fastest lap on the next lap of the Grand Prix. You can already see he is backing off to make sure that he warms those tyres up. It's almost like a qualifying lap for him right now. He gets another 3 seconds, unfortunately, but he doesn't really care about that right now. ERS, he's just trying to save as much as he can, and he'll be using that throughout the lap to gain every bit of lap time he can and get that extra point. And here we go. Heisler will complete it. We'll watch on board with him a little bit later on, but we have to look with this guy. He's broken away even more. He's pushing all the way to the end. Got nothing left to give. Zingy is going to yet again take another Singapore victory. Zingy wins the Singapore Grand Prix. What a drive today. It's an absolutely crazy Korsman. 5.1 seconds in the end behind. He gave it a good shot. Robbo P3 on the podium, and Nifojan will take solid points home for AlphaTauri as they extend their championship lead in the Constructors. Devon Young P5. A lot of potential, but unfortunately not the result he wanted. And PJ brung back into the race with the safety car. Gets some decent points for himself there. Heischler going for the fastest lap. Let's see how it goes for this man in the Ferrari. Very, very close to the wall right there. He's got all the grip in the world and a very light car, I'm sure. ERS being used. This will probably be the final time he will use the energy, so he might as well deploy it. He'll get one more opportunity to use a little bit of it. No DRS for this man, and he's not got a car in front of him, so it is just pure setup and energy deployment, of course. Trying to save a little bit more for the final few corners of. That will give you an advantage. You don't want to hit zero because you will just automatically lose more time. Here we go. Heischler, what's it going to be fastest lap-wise? It's going to be a 29 in the end. I'm pretty sure he got that one. P7 for that man there. A tough race, but didn't give up. Zingy, driver of the day, last to first. What a drive. With the Scottish flag waving once again, nice and proudly. Zingy takes the win of the Singapore Grand Prix. Tyler Korsman in P2. Robbo, Nifojan, Devon Young, PJ Heischler the fastest lap. DNFing was Peanuts Becken, Tom Brainer, and JJ earlier on in the Grand Prix. Race director, just in case, as we will need to see it. Lots of chunky curbs, so you don't really see as many time penalties as you would around other circuits. We'll be back for the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 post-race interviews for the Singapore Grand Prix. That was a bit of a crazy one. We started on brainer. Tom, unfortunately not the way you wanted that race to go with a DNF. Do you think you still learnt a little bit for tomorrow's race?
Yeah, definitely learned a bit, especially that my new setup isn't it on the track, so I will go back to my old setup. I wonder who thought it was a good idea to learn a new setup with no practice time. Yeah. So I will go back to a setup which probably will be slower but more safe in most of the corners.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's very difficult to get used to a setup when it's brand new, but it's a lesson that you learn and you'll move on. Thank you very much, Tom. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Bad setup decision.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully it goes well tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we move to Devon Young. Devon, that was tough. It was looking like a podium. Do you still feel confident for tomorrow, but also are you too disappointed with today's result?
No, I don't think I'm really that disappointed. Obviously, it's not my main championship, so it's not like I'm really upset over what happened. But certainly good preparation for tomorrow. I think it's sort of tested the waters a bit. Had a look at what my pace was. I think I probably need to do a little bit more practice tomorrow if I want a chance at winning, and I also need to sort of have a look at some overheating problems. That's really the reason I spun. I think my tires were just slipping all over the place. So hopefully I can figure that out before the race tomorrow. But no, like you said, I think it's good preparation overall.
Lots to think about, and very well said. I'm not really going to ask any more, so thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Tires on fire.
Thank you very much. Very nice. We'll see you next time. We move to Robbo. Robbo, P3 in the end. That was a pretty decent race.
Yeah, it was definitely eventful for one. A lot of crashes, a lot of safety cars. I didn't expect a podium coming into it. Quali was just quali. I tried to push it as much as I could. Had a good first sector on my final lap. And then I used too much of a curb and lost front wing. I can't honestly remember everything in the race. I can just say I think a lot of people were struggling with overheating, like Devon said. I noticed a lot of people were having big snaps coming out of corners, so I probably maybe wasn't pushing as much as everyone, maybe toned the pace down a bit, but that helped a lot with the overheating of the tyres and using the brakes and being able to keep the car under control was probably the reason that, you know, all the faster guys were going faster compared to everyone losing time. So, yeah, it's good preparation for tomorrow. Good to see where I'm at. Good to see that I have pretty good pace on the mediums, especially when they're wearing out towards the end of the stint. So it's looking positive for tomorrow.
Go slow to go fast, basically. Do you think there is any possibility to change the setup to fix overheating, or is it going to be purely driving the car a specific way?
I think there could be a few tweaks, but to be honest, I don't think it would make that much of a difference. It's just about being able to maintain that smoothness when driving. Don't make any mistakes, keep the throttle smooth on the input, and manage your brakes. I'll probably make a few tweaks here and there, but nothing major to disrupt the balance of the car.
Fair enough. Well said. Thank you very much, Robbo. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Pretty good podium.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we move on to Heishler. Heish, good pace, good start, good quali position, but unfortunately just didn't go the way you wanted. Fastest lap in the end. What can you take from that one?
I wouldn't say good quality pace. My lap was actually dog water. It
Good position,
I could
at
have
least.
yeah, good position. It shouldn't have been P3 to be honest with the lap I did. But yeah, the starting position was good. I saw back and end Flar going side by side on the first lap, and I hoped I could like somewhere overtake one or maybe both of them, but sadly couldn't. And then mostly in dirty air, my rear was just really loose. I don't think. When I looked at the temps, it was because of the temps, so it was probably because something in the setup. But yeah, I didn't really expect much from today. Haven't really played F1 a lot lately. Mostly played AC, so I was a bit rusty in the race runs. Yeah, and the rest was just a bit unlucky and a bit just stupid for me.
It's a race to move on from for sure, but hopefully it goes well next time. I know you like Saudi Arabia, so it should be good. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Let's go, Jeddah.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
Great effort. We move on to PJ. PJ, it was a tough race. You got some good points in the end, but you also managed to trick JJ into overtaking the safety car and getting him disqualified. You got any words on that one?
How have I done that? I didn't know.
He thought you were the race leader overtaking the safety car, so he followed on, and unfortunately it didn't go too well. Can you take us through your race?
Okay, he must have been high or something, because imagine myself being first. Must have been on some drugs.
I mean,
It's not
I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah, how was your race today?
Yeah, it was at the beginning horrible, because on lap 2 I had a yellow wing because I hit the wall slightly. Went in the pits. My team didn't change the front wing, so I had to go into the pits the next lap again. Then I was 50 seconds behind. Then came the safety car, and I pitted, and I was speeding into the pit lane, so I got the 5-second penalty. Then the last minute before I was going to serve it, I cut the pit entry and will gain another penalty because it was so last minute call from myself that I went into the pits. And luckily then came another safety car and I was able to unlap myself and get back to the pack. And from there I had old tires, but at the end I was able to manage my tires, so at the end it was pretty good again.
Fair enough. Well said. I mean, yeah, it was a crazy race. Did obviously get that inevitable penalty for crossing the pit lane entry, but it did kind of work out.
Purpose. It was just so late call from SF where I thought, so can I serve the 5-second time penalty during the safety cars? And then I was just too late, and I decided to go into the pit so late. So yeah.
I mean, overall, it does work out because instead of having a 5-second, you end up with a 3-second. So you did actually manage to gain 2 seconds. So big brain, you know, but that's what we'll say.
That's what I thought.
Thank you very much. And one last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Last to penultimate.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort.
Goodbye.
And we move to Nifo. Nifo, it was pretty nuts. Some pretty close racing. Can you take us through that one?
Yeah, obviously, because of the TT thing with the qualifying, I didn't really know what the limit was. So in quali, instantly started off great, spinning twice, and then third lap was very conservative. But I wasn't lost for a change. That was different. The start, yeah, a bit of chaos, bit of argy-bargy twice. I think it's fine though. Nothing really happened because of it, but it did happen. It was close, but it was fun. And yeah, then I was just in the train, and then the safety car came out, and basically I thought that Zingy had a better chance of just bringing home points, so I stayed out, let him take one for the team, start back last, and then just try to get back past. I had a bit of contact with JJ. I don't think if he got damage from it, but I know it wasn't my fault, so, but it was unfortunate for him. And I just trying to catch back up the whole race, basically, people crashing out in front of me, safety cars, whatever. It's just, I wasn't very fast. I was just trying to survive, trying to gain as much position as possible, and hopefully negating the 3 seconds. So, I mean, I don't know what would have happened if I just stayed out, because I think I was able to keep up with Devin, who was, I think, a lot faster than me in the train. So maybe if he made the mistake later, I could have been on the podium. But I'm happy with P4. Honestly, I don't think there was much more in that.
Well said. Fair enough. Yeah. Are you hoping that you can get to the podium within the next few races?
Well, obviously, I don't think I've had very good results yet in this game in general, but LSI especially. So I think if I get a podium and a bit of momentum, it will help me probably. Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you very much. And for one last question, how would you describe your race in 3 words?
Very, very chaotic.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort and great entertainment. And that has been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next weekend for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix at Jeddah. We'll see you tomorrow for the Singapore Grand Prix for the F1.5 EU Championship. It's going to be an awesome one. Thank you very much again, and good night.